Tony is a guy who's never optimistic. It's just not his nature. But this is within our grasp. If we will just mend the barricades, do the hard work. We need to register 1 million new voters in the 10 swing states. We're working on that. This is the most exciting thing I've ever been involved in, and I go all the way back to Ronald Reagan. But this is our best chance to take this country back. I'll see you in Cleveland.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for all the time. Roger Stone, I know you've given over $15,000 just for the rally. I've given 10 because I believe in free speech. I'm going to give an additional 5 because we're getting even more security. I want to thank Bikers for Trump. Everybody else is going to be there. Again, it's not. I don't think it's that big a danger, folks. Driving down the highway is more dangerous. What's dangerous is not being involved. What's dangerous is letting these scumbags intimidate you. What's dangerous is giving into fear. I'm afraid of giving into the fear, and I never will. And so I want to salute Roger Stone. You can clearly see Hillary is starting to get back on her heels. Roger is not a pessimist, but a serious realist. You have privately told me that you did think Trump was behind about a month ago, pulled, to dead heat 2 weeks ago. Are you saying you believe he has now pulled ahead?
I think he's ahead in a number of key states. Let's take Florida. Now, I'm not giving away any Trump campaign information, but I have seen private polls that roughly a week ago he may have been behind as far as 8 or 9 points, as I recall. A more recent survey, one that I trust the methodology, I trust the sample size, I trust the pollster. I stress again, this is not a Trump campaign poll, now shows Trump behind by 1 point. And still lacking the traditional Republican base vote in the southernmost market, which is the Miami-Fort Lauderdale media market, where the Republican establishment, frankly, has taken...
Sure, and let's be clear, getting back to Cleveland, I'm going to let you guys know you have to go, Roger. Coming up next week, we have to be there so our voices are heard in the media for populism and anti-globalism and nationalism. They're going to have the Soros scum running around unabated, taking over all the coverage of what's happening inside, working with the RNC leadership. Now, I know up until now they've still been trying dirty tricks. Is the RNC leadership finally getting halfway in line? Because I know he supposedly, when he becomes the nominee, takes control of the RNC.
Well, it's very, very hard to say. When Donald made it very clear that he had an extraordinarily high regard for General Flynn, we know that the national chairman, Reince Priebus, went out of his mind and protested very strongly that we couldn't nominate Flynn because he was, quote unquote, a Democrat. Well, we have his voter registration. He's not a Democrat. There may be Democrats in his family, may come from a family of Democrats. Has Reince never heard of conservative Democrats? Let's be very clear. Donald Trump has to get between 15 and 20% of the Democrats to win this election. And there are many fine, patriotic, liberty-loving Democrats in this country.
Sure, but he's shown himself to be a nationalist, a patriot, you name it. So that's, and he stood up to the Saudis. I mean, that's who we want.
Exactly. So, look, I'm for whoever Donald Trump is for vice president, but I would be shocked if General Flynn does not have a major role in a Trump administration because he's proven himself to be a man with guts. And that's what Trump wants, somebody with courage, somebody who isn't part of the broken, failed establishment, the Bush-Clinton consortium that has made themselves very wealthy while they've made the American
And the bullying left thinks they own demonstration and own the media. You don't. We're not going to do like the other so-called conservatives and go to sleep or sit there and cry because we're scared of you. We're patriots. We're libertarians. We're the real liberals. We're coming to Cleveland. We're taking over the media. You're not going to stop us. And all the circuses they pull are only going to backfire. One last question. What about the calculus of Obama and Hillary coming out before the cops are dead and saying white people better listen up? This is why this has happened, when this is almost a non-existent issue. It's totally manufactured. I'm not defending police issues. I'm a big critic of it. But why are they doing this when it looks like the calculus is turning people against Hillary? I mean, are they just totally disconnected?
No, I think this is very clear. Look, in 1992, Bill Clinton ran on a strategy of moving the Democratic Party back to the center, at least rhetorically and from an image point of view, and trying to pull back white, moderate, and conservative Democrats in the South and West. And running against the hapless boob George H.W. Bush, one of the worst presidents in my lifetime, he was successful. Obama's strategy was quite different. Maximize leftists, labor, and African Americans. That is the strategy. Hillary has adopted that strategy.
Okay.
So they will pander as much as they have to. They don't want the votes.
Okay,
of
Roger Stone, StoneZone.com, out of time. Here's the news breaking here, though, today. Sessions and Gingrich and others are meeting basically in Indiana. Nobody else knows that. That's happening right now. That's huge. We got to get an article out on that.
Also, the entire Trump family, the Trump children, who I have the highest possible regard for, Ivanka, Donald Jr.
And by the way, that just broke an hour after you told us. I hope we write an article about it. Thank you for breaking that with us. The other big breaking news, several breaking things here today, Roger. What were the others? So much of it.
Well, the epic fight over the 28 pages. Again, call Donald Trump at 212-832-2000 and respectfully tell him you stand with him on the 28 pages. They must be released.
All right, and the other news, obviously, is that Sessions is probably going to bow out himself, but we'll see. Thank you, Roger. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. One of my favorite guests, a fellow Texan, Dr. Edward Group, is in studio with us for about 5 minutes the next hour. Then George Humphrey, one of my good friends, longtime patriot. He was involved in Fight the New World Order when I first met him 25 years ago, before I was even on air. I was in Pat Buchanan's campaign. He's going to be popping in. So I've been in this fight 25 years. Group, you've been in that almost as long or longer. We're going to break down so much news. We're going to talk about the election, the UN involved with Black Lives Matter, and so much more. But I wanted to get into things that are solutions that we individually can take in our hands with this whole backdrop. Don't get stressed about the globalist attack. Get excited that you're fighting back against it, and then stress can be empowering. That's what all the studies show. But if you just take the stress and feel helpless, then it can really screw you up. So we're going to talk about what the elites are aware of, anti-aging systems, and a lot more. And instead of just waiting to the end of the hour to plug a product or something, we're doing 25% off, since we're talking about anti-aging today, on DNA Force. This is the ultimate, in my view, nutraceutical. Just one ingredient now, and it costs $14,000 a kilo to make a batch. That's the Bio PQQ. But it's all got the key enzymes and other things to make sure it actually gets absorbed. It's the only product we've got. I mean, there's studies everywhere, but on this particular patented ingredient that we can actually make claims. But I don't even do that. I just link to the scientific information at InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. Again, you can get things that are similar for 3 to 4 times, 5 times as much. We're talking $600 or more. It is $101 right now. And if you have to understand, folks, there's not even really any profit in this, a very low level of profit in this when we sell it at $100. The stuff in this is simply amazing, and it has changed so many people's lives. Dr. Group, briefly in the segment time we have left, tell folks, you took years for you to develop DNA Force for us, and we run out of it a lot of times for up to 6 months because it's so hard to source all the other ingredients that are in it. That's why we sell out of stuff. We don't like to do that. It's really hard to actually get nutraceuticals at this level and have them be at California standards.
Yeah, the strange thing is there's millions of dollars, I mean, practically billions of dollars spent every single year fighting disease or research on Alzheimer's or diabetes or heart disease. And it's really strange that there's no money or practically no money that's put into research on aging. Why do you think that is? I mean, I think it's just because we don't want, or the government doesn't want us to live till 200 or, 120 even. You can see that the age of disease that we're in right now with the worst medical care system, and we still don't treat the root cause, we just treat the symptoms. It's been something that I've been working on for a long time, Alex, because I think it's very, very important. We are 100 trillion cells in our body. That's what we are. We're just held together by
We're a colony of cells, just like a jellyfish that work together.
Yeah, and some of our cells can have 2,000 mitochondria. Some of our cells can have 25,000 mitochondria. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So when you look at the aging process or you look at the disease process, what you're really looking at is what's happening inside the cells. And if you look at, let's just say you picture the cell as a balloon, right now, with the diets that we have, with the gluten, with the pesticides, with the artificial sweeteners, the excitotoxins, every single thing that's being bombarded, it's literally like a machine gun that's shooting our cells. And most of these bullets, which are toxins, are actually going inside the cell and causing disruption. And what the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying.
Yeah, we're born with 10 to 15,000 of them. And when we get down to 10,000 telomeres, we die. So the whole secret of aging that the elite know and some of these processes that they've been working on in closed labs are ways to reduce or delay the time it takes.
And to be clear,
for our telomeres.
We have to have medical doctors to be able to get some of the compounds that are in here from groups like Mitsubishi America that has the global patent on the true BioPQQ that you can medically say actually does flush out the stuff out of the cell, and a lot of BSers say we have to lengthen telomeres. No, folks, it just keeps them from shrinking.
It just protects the cells because what you're trying to do is you're trying to have...
Which you could technically says lengthens them because, yeah, they're not going to get shorter faster. So I guess you could say that does lengthen them, but it doesn't make them grow. It just makes them not shrink as fast.
The thing is, I know because I've been doing research for 20 years on what the real cause of aging and disease is, and it's the bombardment of the cells in the body with chemicals and toxins on a regular basis.
Well, let's run through it then. This is so important.
Or something.
Let's run through it. The clean water, exercising, sweating, all this is important. But when it comes to clean out the cell itself, folks, it's the compounds in DNA Force. Research it for yourself. Look at third-party sites, say it's the best thing out there. It is a total game changer. InfoWarsStore.com. Your purchase funds the operation. Thank you, Dr. Group. I'm getting on a jet airplane this weekend, and I'm flying to Cleveland. Our advanced team leaves Friday. And we are going to engage in the First Amendment. We are going to stand up against the globalists. We're going to fight as hard as we can. Hopefully that spirit continues to be infectious and spreads across the United States and the world. We've seen the Brexit. We've seen globalism in deep trouble. We see the fact that the Federal Reserve is private and about 70% foreign-owned now be international news. The fact that the stock markets are rigged. The fact that the globalists are setting up a planetary government. It's all starting to come out, and that's thanks to the tip of the spear, Infowars.com. That means you, the supporters, the listeners, the affiliates, Matt Drudge at DrudgeReport.com, people like Dr. Group, and countless others. Thank you for your prayers and your support. Now, I want to get into information the elite don't want you to know here in a minute about anti-aging. A lot of this stuff's free info, stuff you can get for free. We're selling a product, DNA Force, that is the very best nutraceutical that we can produce, that similar formulas are being taken by the Japanese for $400 to $600 for the same dose. You get them. This is what the fancy clinics in Paris and the fancy clinics and places in Tokyo and in countries like Switzerland. This is what's going on. I mean, I see bottles at Whole Foods, $50 with a synthetic BioPQQ with a lower dose than this. Okay, and this is $100 on sale. Normally $140-something retail. It's $101 right now, and the money we do make helps fund the operation. We need to sell a lot of this at this price, though, to be able to re-up and buy more of it down the road. We have huge expenses in the face of the globalists. And you know that. You've been supporting us. You've been coming through, and you've been getting great products in the process. So, DNA Force. Let's spend a few minutes on what's in it and what it's known to do, Dr. Group. And then let's actually get into the news and the facts about aging, how it's accelerating, why it's happening, infant mortality way up, life expectancy going down, despite all the, quote, sciences to keep us alive, what's happening? And then, of course, there's also the electromagnetic radiation that breaks DNA telomeres as well, which we're bombarded with. So, Dr. Group, let's break this down.
Right, parasites, there's all kinds of different things we can talk about. First of all, whenever I started looking at this and started uncovering all these things, I have to say that the main goal was to do two things. We knew that the aging process is due to a free radical attack on the mitochondria of the cell, which decreases the telomeres. So the first thing was, what can we use? What herbs and what substances that are all natural can we use to prevent and to block the free radical damage to the cells? That's the first step. And what we did with that was use certain compounds like the pterostilbene, the CoQ10. And the second thing that we wanted to do actually was rebuild and give the nutrients